This is the tunic version of McCall's 8022, and you can see it is way too long on me. Now, I made this version before with the gray one, which I will show you later, and I ended up shortening it down here to make it tunic length. This isn't even the dress length, and it's below my knee, and this is already hemmed. So it's kind of boxy and ill-fitting. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna change the waist length on this one to improve the fit and the look on how it fits on my body, because I'm short from here to here and it's too long. So the hips are down here on this, where my hips are up here. So this part of the garment should be up this high. So in order to accomplish that, I need to change the pattern, but I have this already made and I love it. So I'm just going to add a waist seam, which is not unheard of. It certainly makes it wearable, and you'll see what a difference it makes, because right now it just looks like I've got cloth draped on me, and it's not very attractive. You can see in this version it's shorter because I shortened it from the bottom. You can see the pocket is almost at the hem, but it's fine because this isn't drapey. It's a lot more heavy. It's a knit backed fleece, so the fabric has more structure and it's not kind of flopping around my body. Had I noticed it when I made this one, I would have shortened the pattern, and you definitely would have seen a difference in the second one that I made with the animal print. But this one works fine. Now I need to fix the pattern, because going forward I want to make something that's going to be more comfortable and look better on me. Additionally, this pattern is, I think I sized it up a size too big, so I need to make a size smaller. It will shrink in these shoulders and get rid of some of this extra here, but that's a whole different issue. But right now we want to make sure that when we're draping something from here to here, like these pockets are way too low. I can't get my hands in them. Really what I needed to do was shorten it up here, which is what I'm going to do with the knit one, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. So to drape this dress, and this is what we're doing, we've made a pattern, and now we want to drape it so it fits better the next time we make it. And for this one, I'm actually going to be able to wear it. Sometimes when we do this, the muslin isn't, the first garment we make isn't wearable if we fix it. But in this instance, putting in a waist seam is not unusual, so we're going to be able to do that. What I need to do, essentially, if I look at, this is my center back piece, this will work fine. I need to shorten this dress about 5 inches. So in the middle, here's the waistline, and you can mark that on your dress and then try it on, and you'll see exactly why this hip line is either too high or too low. And just above or below the waistline, you're going to see a double line, and it says lengthen or shorten here. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to shorten it, but I'm also going to show you how to lengthen it. It is super, super easy. So for the next time, when I go to do my pattern, I want to shorten this 5 inches, which means I'm going to fold on this lengthen and shorten line. I'm going to fold it up 2.5 inches, because 2.5 plus 2.5 equals 5. That's not quite 2.5. So I just keep shortening it till I get to 2.5 inches, and I want to check the left side and the right side. You can kind of line it up as best you can. To tape these pieces together, lining them up. So now I know next time I go to make this pattern that it's in good shape. And this side, this goes on the fold, so this side's lined up. But you can see this one is a little off kilter. So I'm going to blend this, and I'm just going to take a marker or pen or whatever you have, and I'm going to blend these lines together. I'm going to take a little bit off of one, and I'm going to add a little bit to the other, and that's going to be my new cut line, right where that marker is. Now I'm going to do this to all the pieces that affect the waist. This is a princess pattern, So there's a center front, a center back, a side front, and a side back. So all of those pieces I'm going to shorten on that shorten or lengthen line by 5 inches. If I was going to lengthen the piece, say that when I was looking at this pattern, the hips were up way too high and my waist from here to here was longer. I had a long torso and I needed to extend that because our body types are all different. Again, we go to our lengthen and shorten line on the pattern and we're going to cut it right along that line. And if we wanted to lengthen our piece 3 inches, I would line this up along some kind of ruler. Again, trying to line up at least one edge flush and tape in a piece of paper or tissue in there to make this pattern whole again. I would tape in, I'm going to use this as paper. That's on my 3-inch mark, so I would tape it there, and then 1, 2, 3, I would tape it there. So now my pattern would be lengthened, and I would do this on the center front, the center back, the side front, and the side back, and trim the way this excess paper so I have a new pattern piece and it's just been lengthened. So you do this with pants, waist, bust, pants. This is how you lengthen and shorten pieces. So for this garment that I'm working on right now, I'm actually going to do it on the garment because it's already made on this dress. So to do that, I am going to measure, because it's hemmed, my pattern pieces are flying everywhere, because it's hemmed, I'm going to measure up from the hem how much I want, how high, where I want to shorten or lengthen this, and I can do that by taking this tissue piece that I've already shortened, right? We just shortened this piece, and I have a 2-inch hem on here, so it looks like I'm going to shorten it somewhere around this mark here. Now that seems about right, but you can also put it on and pin it. I want to do it below the bust, so the bust is here where the curve is, and right, this is the curve of the bust. So I want to do it below the bust, down here where the waist is. And my waist mark is on this tissue. Right there, it says waist. So that is how you lengthen and shorten a pattern for the waist. Now remember, when you do pattern adjustments, you start at the top, right? So the first thing we're going to adjust is the shoulders and the bust line, and then the next thing we work on is the waist, and then after that is the hips. Because if you started with the hips and then you had to adjust the waist, the hips would be out of whack again, right? So we want to start from the top. First thing we do is adjust the shoulders. The next thing we do is adjust the bust line. And there's a video already, I've already done a video on Learn to Sew, adjusting bust darts, where you move the darts up and down and how you cut the tissue in order to make sure that the dart's in the right place. Now we're going to work on the waist because that's the next thing down. And waists are very simple for length. We're just going to shorten them or lengthen them. That's pretty much it, to make the hips fall in the right place and make our waist fall on our natural waist. What you'll find is if you're shopping and you're trying on garments that don't quite fit, proportionally, that's where the issue is. It's built or constructed for someone that's, you know, probably a size 10 or a size 12 and somewhere around 5 feet 8 inches tall. And if you're shorter than that or taller than that, then the distance between the shoulders and the bust and the waist and the hips, and wherever the hemline is supposed to be, the knees or the ankle, is very different. So if you're short and you're wearing that garment, it overpowers you. And if you're tall and wearing that garment, it's pulling and tugging in all the wrong places. So when we make our own clothes, particularly if we fall outside of that perfect fit model size, which I would say the majority of us do, then you can tailor that to your proportions, and then you can wear a long dress if you're short, or you can wear a short dress if you're tall, and you make it to fit your body, and that's what's really important. So waist draping is one of the easiest techniques to give your garments a perfect fit. So let's see how they look side by side. All right, so because I need to shorten this garment, and I would call it a wearable muslin because you can have a waist seam, I'm pretty happy with that. I measured from the bottom of my tissue to where the waist marker was, and I determined that that was at 18 inches. So I went 18 inches up from the bottom and put a little mark all the way around the dress, and then folded it on itself and stitched it 2 inches. So there's 2 inches here and 2 inches here. So essentially I shortened it 4 inches all the way around. But you also want to make sure that that shortening, that circle that you're sewing around the waist, is parallel to the hem, right? It would look silly if it wasn't. And then I'm going to go and serge this off, but you could just trim it because you don't want all this extra bulk in there. And then one of the things that you want to look at or keep in mind is that as you're sewing these, because this has princess seams or even side seams, that these seams match up in a grid pretty nicely. So you just need to take care. That one's off a smidge. I'm okay with that because this pattern is really busy. No one will even know. But the rest of them are pretty spot on as you go around. So I'm going to press this like I had sewn in a waist seam originally, and that's the way it was. And you'll see the difference between this piece and the original piece and how much better it looks proportionally because I'm short, so it's proportioned right. The hip line is in line with my hips, and the waistline is where it's supposed to be. It makes a huge difference on the way a garment drapes on you and hangs. I mean, you can already see from, and this is not that far away, you don't get a full shot, but you'll see it already looks so much better because it's in proportion to this part of my body. And when you see the full shot, you'll see how much better it looks because it's made proportionally. Thank you for joining us on Learning to Sew Waist Draping. I'm Sandy, and I'm delighted that I could walk you through this very simple process of making your garments more proportional. Please click the subscribe button as we work towards our next milestone. And below in the description box, you will find a link to the website, which will have all of the information about the garment and the patterns and where you can find them. So until next time, happy sewing. Bye.